Thank you. So lately, the Lord has been revealing to me this word that I feel like is very needed in this time, but is also a word that our society doesn't really understand and kind of cringes at. But that word is rest. So now I say the Lord has been revealing this to me lately, but I feel like it's been a long time coming. And Adrian's giving me a look. Because the amount of times she's mentioned it to me, and I just smile and nod, and then put it to the side. But no, I feel like now the Lord has been really convicting me in it, and what it means to actually rest, and how serious and how biblical the word rest is. So the Hebrew word for rest, I'm probably going to say it wrong, but it's like nuach, which means to settle down or cease, and is something that is received when settling into the right thing. So rest is mentioned or displayed quite a bit throughout the Bible, but I'm going to come out of Hebrews 4, 1 through 6. So it says, "Therefore, while the promise of entering his rest still stands, let us fear lest any of you should seem to have failed to reach it. For good news came to us just as to them, but the message they heard did not benefit them because they were not united by faith with those who listened. For we who have believed enter the rest, as he has said, as I swore in my wrath, they shall not enter my rest, although his works were finished from the foundation of the world. For he has somewhere spoken of the seventh day in this way, and God rested on the seventh day from all his works." So in this little passage, rest is mentioned 5 times just out of those 6 verses. And in this passage, it's talking about rest in the aspect of faith and obedience, and with that, you will get the Lord's rest. But when you have unbelief or disobey him or his commandments, you will not inherit that rest that he has. So I know during this time, the early Christians were growing weary, and they were about ready to give up, which basically just means that they had unbelief in their minds. And with that, it's basically the equivalent of being, like tired and laying around and not really doing anything and sitting in this negativity and thinking that, I'm getting physical rest by just laying around, but never really being re-energized because spiritually you're not refueling yourself. And so just like the Trinity is 3 in 1, we are as well with our body, soul, and mind, or spirit. And when you don't align those 3 together, you're going to be exhausted. And when you aren't faithful to the Lord and you're not sitting in prayer with him daily, you will not get the rest that your soul and your body needs. And like it says in Hebrews in this passage, that we should be so fearful to not experience that. Like, we should be afraid to not experience this physical and spiritual rest that the Lord has for us. And I think our society puts such a big emphasis on work, and it's so easy to put our identity in that. And I know for me, this is a big thing, and I spend so much of my time trying to work the hardest and trying to put in the most hours and filling my schedule up, because if I don't, then I feel guilty. But that's me putting my identity in work then. And like I said, if I'm not like go, 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 then I don't know what to do with myself or like who I am. And I know I always joke around, but especially with Adrian. I'm like, I'll finally get rest like next month or next year. It's fine right now. And just with my brain and how it's wired and how I grew up and just with society in general, like I think that is my nature. But the Lord did not create us to be like that or to place our identity in that. So really, I'm going against my actual nature. Like I think, me saying like, I need rest or I need to like not fill my schedule or whatever, that's going against my nature. But it's actually going against our nature to not get rest. And with that, when we enter into, not getting the rest, we're actually just choosing the side of chaos, and we're leaving that side of order again. And also with that then comes burnout. which I know is a massive thing, I feel like, in our society as well. And when you fill your schedule and you're not inviting the Lord into that schedule and basically doing everything out of your control, you will never feel restful. So going back to Hebrews, it even talks about God forming creation in 6 days, and then he rested on the seventh. And that's not saying that like God just took a nap, but that he was resting or dwelling with his creation. Right. And I think it's a time of rejoicing in that and in stillness, of just like in awe. But it's this idea of routine. Because again, you have here 6 days and then you rest on the seventh. That's a routine. And just like that, we need to be putting rest into our routine daily, right? We need to be making it a priority. And I know, especially right now, with the holidays coming up, I feel like everyone gets really busy, and you, a lot of times, put aside rest, which ultimately is just your time of praying and being with the Lord. And it's so easy just to put that aside and say like, oh, I'll come back to it. It's fine. It's just like a season. But we should never be in the mindset of like, it's just a season. Like, no. And then with the Sabbath too, like that, I think we place in our mind like, oh, this is just a suggestion. Like, again, I can do it later. But it's not a suggestion, it's a command from the Lord. And in this part, it even talks about like where it says, I swore in my wrath, they shall never enter my rest. Like the Lord used not giving people rest as a judgment. Like when they disobeyed him, he instead put enemies around them and was like, okay, I'm not going to give you rest now because you didn't obey my commandments or what I had said. So how much bigger is it to recognize like rest is that much more important or vital when the Lord actually used it as a punishment? And even like we have, because in Joshua you see again that the Lord had this land set before them and they did not conquer it. So instead, again, here we have enemies that he put in front of them, and didn't recognize, the victory that they had in that land already, which we see, because of what Jesus did on the cross, we now have victory in this land, So it's making sure that prayer time is put in there daily, and it's the seeking of the Lord's presence daily. It's remaining faithful, setting aside time. It's getting off your phone. Amen. It's not watching TV or not working. And it's being with the Lord, spending meaningful time with him. It's, if you have kids, it's spending time with your kids. And just doing all of these things that bring joy and restoration to your soul. So I know for me, the Lord has been pointing out different passions that I have that fill me, because I spend so much time, I feel like, working or, again, trying to, like, people please. And the Lord's like, why don't you get back to things that actually make you, like, that bring you passion and joy? So for me, that'd be, like, photography or playing an instrument. Like, I've had an electric guitar or a drum set sitting in a box for a year. And I don't know where Evan is. I finally took it out of my box. I didn't put it together, but I took it out of the box. So that's a start. But yeah, it's those things that bring you presence or sitting in silence just with him. And then you have in Psalm 23, and there's a line in there that says, he makes me lie down in green pastures. So David, who wrote this, was a shepherd, so he knew sheep. He knew we were dumb. And we would run headfirst into that crack every time. But when their environment was right, they were able to lie down. But sometimes the sheep still didn't lie down. So the shepherd would force or make them lie down. And sometimes I think, like, how many times does, like, the Lord put us in, like, these, I think it's WWE, like, movements, or, like, to try to get us, like, down on the ground, like, consistently fighting with us just to get rest. And then you see Jesus do this in the New Covenant, where there were crowds of people around him consistently, like people wanting him to continuously be doing all of these things. And even the Lord would leave, go up the mountain, or in the wilderness to rest with his Father. And he even told his disciples, like after they were out doing stuff, he's like, hey, why don't you go rest and eat? Like, instead of continuously, again, doing this work. And this rest, because of Jesus and what he did on the cross, it is given to us. And when you don't do it out of your own sake or control, you enter into this righteousness and salvation, which is what rest brings. But again, it's how you steward it. So again, it's getting off your phone. It's taking time to actually be in like stillness with the Lord, going on walks, doing things that bring joy and desires with the Lord. And then to end, Mark 6:31 says, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." Like that is a commandment from the Lord. Like rest is vital, and we should be taking it very seriously. And we need to start now. Like, don't just think like, oh, I'll get rest later, or I'll get rest when I'm retired, whatever. But then at that point, you're just gonna be cranky. Like, and you're not gonna be like, you're not going to gain all the Lord has for you in your life if you just wait until, you're 60. So let's take up rest with the Lord and let's do it well.